Hey, washing dishes and ranting. I've got a topic on which to rant. It has to do with advertising, corporate responsibility and ethics, and internet memes. Now, for those of you who are young and don't understand, most of the 20th century, if you wanted to advertise a product, you picked up the phone and you contacted someone with a large media industry. It would be, a television network or a publishing company with magazines. There were a few of them, but you could hire a person and he would call each one in turn, and he maybe had about, a dozen contacts that he had to get a hold of, and maybe 2 campaigns to put together for those contacts. One in video and one in print. Maybe a third one for radio. Well, not so anymore. Do you listen to the radio? I don't listen to the radio. I used to. The radio was on 24/7. Now, I'll play MP3s, I'll stream something, I'll run videos on YouTube. I don't watch TV anymore. I actually canceled all my television subscriptions. I have an antenna on the roof for local news and the occasional show, and pretty much that's it, and I'm not getting advertising. Newspaper, magazines, well, I get my news online. I get all my information and entertainment online. I don't buy print media anymore. So, when you get to the online world, of course, the variety of choices as a consumer is outrageous. It's no longer 4 or 5 channels, which became the 50-channel multiverse, which became the 300-channel cableverse, which became whatever it is now, the internet, really. You have such an incredible wealth of choices as to what you're going to consume that for an advertising company, for people who are looking to advertise a product, it's become extremely difficult to get their name in front of your eyes. They've got to have targets. It's like, okay, well, it's a camping product, so we'll target the camping websites. Now they've got thousands of people with whom they have to do business if they want to put their advertising on. And there are some aggregates like Google Ads, that bundle things and make it a little easier, but you're only getting a fraction of the eyeballs on your name, on your logo, that you used to get on the nightly news. Just in, nightly primetime TV. Like the Super Bowl still gets millions of views, but if you really want to clean up, you need to go viral, right? Viral. Everybody's showing everybody else. Everybody wants to get in on the action. It's the new word for trendy. You got to get super trendy, and you got to do it online. So, we have this company that makes detergent, primarily, as far as I know, focused on laundry. Now that's, you'd think a soap company would branch out and make all kinds of soap, but because they're part of a larger dry goods community that makes a variety of different soaps, from face soap to dish soap to laundry soap and onward, and they make floor cleaners, and they make tools and devices to clean the house, and it's a huge market, and I think they even have a pharmaceutical branch. And anyway, this soap company came up with a new, more convenient way to do your laundry. They came out with pre-measured packets of concentrated soap. Now, it used to be that laundry was a powder, and you would take a scoop of it and you'd toss it in the wash, and about a cup of powder. And that had problems because that powder frequently didn't dissolve properly, and so you often had laundry powder on your clothes. So someone came up with liquid detergent. It spreads better, and you can put in more things, more chemicals than you can with powder, because now some of the chemicals that stay liquid, like softeners, can be included at the dish, at the soap level, instead of having to add extra chemicals in at the end of the rinse. It's like dry cleaners, with the chemicals in the water. So great, okay, now we've got liquid. Now we started concentrating the liquid. Less shipping costs, less water, less shipping costs. And we convinced consumers that they were getting the benefit of it because, you know, actually admitting that you're primarily doing it because fuel costs are going up is, well, that's hard for people to understand anyway. So you convince them that they want to choose the concentrated version of the product, you know. And one of the ways they did it was, you know, less packaging, less waste. And that's a valid concern. So there's a point at which if you concentrate it down any further, however, it doesn't pour. Unless it's in a little plastic packet. Plus, which bonus, you can actually charge more for the soap if you encase deeply concentrated soap in little flexible, in little balloons, as it were. You can actually charge more. You can charge more because people see it as having value added, as having extra work done to it, because it's new, because it's cute, and because there's extra packaging. And it will cost a little more to make it, and you just have to, you know, rate your profit margin accordingly. But it can be a hard sell, of course, because it costs more, and a lot of people are still like, yeah, you know, I'll use my liquid. Well, so one of the things they did to make their product more attractive was they created an embossed pattern using 3 different colors. Really bright color, white, purple, and orange, and they made it bright. I think those are the colors, I can't remember. They made it very bright, and they gave it a really beautiful graphic. They'd already had a really nice graphic logo, and they pretty much incorporated it into this little packet of soap. And they tell us that one color does stain removal, one color does general washing, and one color does softening. Which is to say that, you know, maybe they're now separating it, the different materials, so that they can use more volatile stuff together. But then when the packet bursts in the water, because the plastic is water soluble, will you not then have those chemicals come together? So it really doesn't make any difference. You could just pour it in a bottle, skip the coloring agent, and away you go. There's another company that also, you know, other companies have now started making their own version of the little soap packets, because it is convenient. I used them. I've used some. It's quite convenient, you know. People like the grab it, toss it, walk. Whereas before it was scooping and measure. There was some measuring involved. The difference in convenience is actually ridiculously, laughably stupid, and so I've stopped buying pockets because it is more expensive. It's more environmentally expensive. You get less actual soap per penny. I'm just shaking out the tea from my pot here. I had loose tea. So yeah, the packets are just not practical, sensible, or necessary. So I've decided not to use them. I'm using liquid. Plus which, because I have an allergic little dog, I only use organic or whatever, hypoallergenic soaps. And because I'm an environmentalist, they also have to be something that you could, you know, dump in an aquarium and it wouldn't necessarily kill the fish. It might make the water unpleasant if it's too high a concentrate, but it's not strictly toxic. Because you're kind of dumping it in an aquarium. Really, it's like you're dumping your soap into an aquarium. Every time your laundry flushes, everything that was in your laundry is now going into the water system, and the water system does not filter anywhere near as well as we just assume. We think it's clean, clear drinking water coming out the other end, but it's actually not. It's got microplastics. Anyway, I'm diverging. Back to the pods and the advertising. So they've got these colorful, bright pods. Well, guess what starts happening? Well, you know, little kids and their experimentation, they're like, it's bright, it's colorful, therefore it's fruit, therefore it's sweet. You know, that's the monkey in us, and candy reinforces that because candy has that color. And so the kids start eating these things. And for some weird reason, there's a new meme out where grown kids who are old enough to know better, but not old enough to think twice, claim they're tasting these things or something. I haven't seen it. I've just heard some of the YouTube pundits talking about this new phenomenon of eating these soap packets. I mean, eating soap. I remember when kids got soap put in their mouths to punish them. Yeah, you take a bar of soap, you stick it in the kid's mouth, you make him hold it there a little while. It's harmless, miserable. It is a horrible thing to do to someone, and I've tasted soap, but not through force. Fortunately, that was not one of the punishments used by my parents. But it was used by parents of kids in the neighborhood, and I heard enough about it. And certainly, I got curious and tasted the stuff. And go ahead, taste some soap sometime. Just regular soap. Just put a tiny drop on your tongue. Tiny bit of hand soap or dish soap. It doesn't matter. The stuff is not arsenic here. The trouble is that the Tide Pod delivers a highly concentrated, easily swallowed dose of poison. And in an adult body, it's probably not lethal, but you're going to really, really suffer. And in a small child, it is lethal. It's I think there's things you can do, like get the kid's stomach pumped out fast enough, but it's darn dangerous. You don't want kids eating it. So you think, well, okay, now we've got the older brothers and sisters of these kids that are actually eating it and making a big deal out of it and watching videos and giggling about it and laughing about it and threatening to eat it and daring each other to eat it. Well, you don't think the 5-year-old's paying attention to what Big Brother's up to? Yeah. We're going to see more childhood deaths. Now, why wouldn't the soap company change the packet? There's a product out there where the packets are just little square pillows of clear fluid. They're just translucent. They're boring. There's no color whatsoever. They're just clear. Works great, too. I did use them. Why wouldn't this soap company switch to something like that? I mean, they can just make it one of their favorite colors or something. Or maybe they can make the liquid one color and the packaging the other color and put a clear spot in it. I don't know. That's the trouble. The packaging should be clear, but the pod itself, the packaging could be colorful, but the pod itself should not be. It should be really boring. Really boring. I'll tell you why they don't. Well, they don't have to. There's no law requiring it. And they don't want to. A few kids were going to get poisoned anyway, and look at the advertising we're getting. Well, if mothers can't keep an eye on their kids, why is that our fault? And I've never raised kids, but I've heard enough parents talk about it to know that even the most diligent helicopter parent loses track of their kid. And I remember being a kid, and I remember sitting hidden away, listening to my mother frantically search for me and giggling that she couldn't find me. Just getting away with something. You think kids aren't doing that too? Of course they are. So you're equally going to have kids. The soap company should change the soap packets. That's what they should do. And you, meanwhile, should stop buying soap in convenient little packages and go back to dumping a little bit in the cup before you dump it in the washer. Because was it really all that hard to pour a half a cup or a cup full in the cap and pour it in the washer? Isn't that how most of us do it now? Really? Is it that hard? Or switch to a product that does provide clear, square, plain soap pods.